So, what area are you in?
I'm in the consumer science department. Yeah, so I study financial education and then how households manage their finances, kind of broadly.
So, are you hoping to
Yeah.
write a proposal for like February or so deadline, or?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking maybe um, I was. I'm kind of interested in the K Awards, which this is not
No,
as.
no, Lauren
I mean,
is
things are.
planning to is thinking about a K award as well.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
that's good.
So I've reviewed a few people. A few people have shared their applications with me from similar fields or things that I could kind of. I don't do like clinical trials or anything like that. So trying to see how like an observational study or field experiment would be translated for an NIH grant.
Yeah,
What
and
I'm
we
trying
can
to figure out.
and
So
we can discuss that. So Jamie's on the call, and so she manages my calendar. So I think you should all get on my calendar so that we can talk about your specific project and your specific plan, and again, sort of mapping out being ready to either submit it in February or June, like whatever makes the most sense for where you are. But also helping to find, again, I think it's important for you to have someone on campus who you can talk to about the grant and give you like feedback and sort of, especially if this is your first one, so that you're not feeling like you're out there alone trying to figure it out.
yeah. Just the instructions alone are overwhelming. So
Yeah. And and even with an example, it still feels like there's a lot behind it that if you had someone to talk to about it, it would make it sort of, okay, now I understand why they did what they did and why I need to do something similar, but maybe not the exact same thing. So we'll spend this time to sort of thinking about your idea, sort of crystallizing like exactly what you want to do. And again, it's going to change. I'll just sort of warn you, whatever you write for your aims now, if they will look different by the time you submit. Because like John mentioned, you have to write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, especially your aims. I mean, that thing gets rewritten so many times between the time you start and the time you submit. So,
that presentation cost me an awful lot of effort over the weekend.
But it was probably all worth it.
So no, I was really excited about it because we thought we kind of had our specific aims laid out, right? This is for the one that's due in about a month. And then I went back and I looked at it and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I felt bad, but I went back and I kind of shredded what we had and we rewrote it, and I think it's better. I think it's a lot better, but it's still got some stuff to work out. But what a useful PowerPoint. That was a really useful presentation. I'm sorry I missed yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, and so and really yesterday was about how to the need to contact your program officer and have a conversation with them before you write your whole proposal, but also some tips for how to do that. And I completely agree. You need to develop a relationship with the program officer who you're likely to spend your whole career working with, and so that they know you, they know your work, and you have that kind of great relationship, like John mentioned. Usually, what happens is, depending on your field, you'll end up working with one particular program officer.
Oh, really?
You'll keep going back to the same program at NIH.
Just takes one, huh?
Because, yeah. And as long as you're still doing the same type of research, because most researchers do the same type of research their whole career, which means you're in the same program your whole career.
Gotcha.
So I think reaching out to them and developing a relationship with them, and taking all of his key points from yesterday is really important to do. And Daria, I know you're planning to do the MRI NSF. We can also meet to discuss.
Yeah. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I do.
Because that will come around really fast too.
Yeah. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's earlier. That's in January, not February.
Yeah, MRI is January, and the other NIH is probably will be February, because next round is February.
Okay. Oh, so you're going to try to do both of them?
I think so. I'm fine.
Okay. It's doable because the NSF MRI isn't necessarily research.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
I will have help from a lot of collaborators. So
Yeah.
I
It turns out that even if you have lots of collaborators, one or two of you, you're doing all of them right.
yeah.
The others will just be like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And that's it. So again, make sure you contact Jamie to get on my calendar. If you're not on my calendar, like by the end of the day, then I'll be poking you
Okay.
to make sure that we have a conversation about your proposal and
Okay.
your trajectory, your sort of how making sure you're hitting benchmarks along the way, so you're not the last 2 weeks trying to pull together a proposal.
Sure.
And I think it's also important to start getting into the habit. I know at UA, they're making some changes in the grants management office. Right now, they don't have these sort of deadlines for when you need to get the budget to them and when you need to get the proposal to them, like most universities do, but they're planning to start changing that so that people aren't sending stuff to them the day the proposal is due and thinking it's going to get submitted. So I think it's important for you guys to just start getting things to them early so that you're not trying to get things submitted on the day it's due.
So usually you should aim for one month before, or?
I would say for the budget, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you need to have your budget to your grants person at least a month before, because it may need to be changed. And if you have collaborators, especially collaborators outside of the university, it takes time to get all of that in place. And they're going to start, I mean, this is just what it needs to happen, because this is how every other university does it, where budgets get approved before the grant is submitted. Right? Because if you have to have some kind of cost share, people need to know that in advance, not after you submit it. So every other university does it this way. And so we're going to have to shift to doing things that way. So getting your budget to them a month in advance, getting it approved by everybody, and everybody sort of knows what's happening. Again, especially if there's some collaboration across colleges and across different universities, you need to get that done early. And in a lot of ways, putting the budget together early helps limit what you can propose. Right? In some ways, it determines the scope of the work. Because if you're doing like an RO3 with the $50,000 a year budget, that kind of puts some limits on what you can do. And so putting your budget together early is something you need to do anyway.
So actually, I have a question about the budget. I had a discussion yesterday with Lisa Joyner, and about, so it's better to put our budget for our effort on summer or on academic year? So what's the main difference between choosing?
I mean, if you're on a 9-month contract here,
I have a 9 month.
I recommend you putting it in summer so you have summer salary.
Okay. But I mean, at the very end, doesn't change anything. So, I mean, if I put it in the academic year, I will get more money during the academic year, right? So,
yeah, but then you don't get anything in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I sum everything over the year.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't matter. It's just really,
Okay.
when they pay it out. But people like, I mean, I think if you're on a 9-month, I was on a 10-month at IU, and so you just need to cover those months. Otherwise, there's no salary coming in. So, and I think here they prefer you do it that way, because in some ways that's why you have the sort of 9-month contract. So it's usually better to do it that way.
Okay.
Charlene, what do you suggest if you don't qualify for that?
Well, if you have a 12-month contract and you do a % effort, and your salary doesn't change.
That's what everybody tells me.
Yeah. because now that I'm here, I'm on a 12-month. And so, yeah, my salary doesn't change, but the contribution the university contributes to my salary decreases.
Well, isn't that nice for the university?
I mean, you're on a 12-month. There's no more effort.
It's not how
You can't have 115% effort.
that's not how it should work. It's not. But I'm not gonna rage against that machine. The only thing that I understand changes is you get more discretionary money as a result.
Yeah, that's something that's negotiated per
At the college, though.
college.
Yeah. So I do get some discretionary money, but I don't get any change in salary for better or worse.
And the other thing you can think about, depending on the grant, is thinking about buying out teaching time, right? Depending on how much of a teaching load you have, thinking about how you can maybe, depending on the grant
time
and the budget, if you can buy out a course, put it in the grant. So
can you buy out administrative time too, or is it just teaching time that you can buy out?
I've never heard of anybody buying out of administrative time. So that's a conversation with your grants person.
Yeah, our college is weird in a number of ways, and both of those are on that list.
Yeah, that's a different conversation. But for the rest of you, buy out a course if you can buy out a course.
That is a good thing for tenure track, or
it depends on how many courses you're teaching.
okay.
Right. So for some colleges, I mean, for some departments, you may be teaching like a 3-2, and getting out of one of those and doing a 2-2 can make a huge difference in your research productivity. But if you're already doing like a 1-1 and you're an assistant professor, then you may not want to do that because you still need to get evaluated on your teaching. But if you're teaching a 3-2, there's still plenty of classes to get evaluated on. So it really depends on where you are and what your teaching load is. Now, if you're an associate professor, it doesn't matter anymore. Just, but yeah. So yeah, it kind of depends on where you are. And I don't know what the teaching load is in engineering.
A lot. Sorry.
I don't know what the teaching load is in engineering.
It's so usually it's 2-1. 2-1.
Yeah. So, and depending on where you are in the course, like if you're in your sort of 4th year, then buy out. You have enough of a teaching record to be evaluated on your teaching.
And I have a last question about the budget. So usually, is there a rule for how much effort should they put as PI or a co-PI? There is any
so
rule?
I don't know if there's a rule, but there are rules around effort. So if you don't put enough effort and there's a lot of work involved, the reviewers will be like, you're not putting enough effort in. There's no way you can do it with that effort. So you need to make sure that what you put is reasonable. Like you can't put like a 1% effort on an R01, right? So you need to think about that. On the other hand, if you're involved in too much stuff on the university end, you run out of effort at some point and you can't keep adding. So you have to have conversations with your grants person if there's too many of them. So, and you also can't do too much, right? So let's say on an R01, you're going to put like 75% effort. That won't work.
I mean, for me, I was doing the math, and 11% effort is around one month of salary, right?
Mm-hmm.
More or less. So
yeah. So and depending, it really depends on the size of the scope of the grant and the scope of the work, right? And you should think like a reviewer. If you're reviewing this grant and it's not you, and you're proposing to do a lot of work, but you're only dedicating 1 summer month to it, should you dedicate 2 summer months? Or if it's an R03 and you want to dedicate 2 summer months, that's too much. Right?
yeah.
So it's really, you have to think about what's reasonable for the scope of work.
I mean, for R21, for example, 11% effort, if I am the
probably
PI,
fine. Yeah, that's probably fine.
Okay. And for R01, if I am a co-PI, still 11% effort?
That's probably, yeah. And for a co-PI, for a PI, you probably want around 2.
Okay. Okay.
Around what did you say?
Two
2%?
summer months.
Oh, 2 summer months. I thought 2% was a little small.
No, not percent. 2 summer months.
Well, I think in percent, sorry.
And I cannot never. So what? I mean, what is the maximum? And so I can exceed my 3 summer months. Yes, right. So
You can, but
so
then
I can total all my effort along all my proposal to 100% at any time, right?
But do you want to is the question.
NIH will never let you do.
I don't know.
Reviewers will never let you get away with putting 100% of your effort.
No, I'm saying collecting all my proposals. So in case I have more.
No, because you have teaching responsibilities.
Okay.
So your teaching effort, unless you're buying out of all of your teaching, like your teaching effort is included in your percent effort.
Okay, so I mean, what is the maximum total effort that I can reach? In case.
Again, that's a conversation with your grant specialist. They will know those percentages better than I do. So I mean, I think for what I was always told is like, you know, effort includes everything that you're expected to do at the university, right? And so you have, in this case, you're on a 9-month, you have your 3 summer months that you can devote completely to research. So you can do all 3 of those. But then once you start coming out of those summer months, then you need to think about the effort for research and the effort for teaching. And you can't take the teaching effort away.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a max in there, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, thank you.
But that's what the grant specialists are for. But these are things, even when you're thinking about, this is why you'll rewrite your aims. Because you'll write your aims, you'll put together your budget, and then you go, oh, well, I can't do all that with that amount of money. So I need to go back and change the scope of my aims to match what I can actually do based on the budget. Right? Because a lot of times you want to put the number of subjects or the number of whatever in the aims, right? So that they have a sense of the methods. And some methods just may be too expensive and blow the budget, right? So then you have to take it out because it doesn't fit in the budget. And
at this point, with last grant, I wanted to put a MRI, but then we realized that we don't have enough money. So R21 was not enough to get our sample because we need to pay too much to get.
Yeah, and MRI will blow your budget real fast.
Yeah,
like it's $500 an hour. So,
no, I think he wants to buy it. That's cheaper.
No, it's not. So yeah, but these are things that you'll run into once you jump in and get started. Okay, so get on my calendar, spend the rest of this hour sort of looking at your aims and editing or beginning to think about like your what you want to do, and contacting Jamie to get on my calendar.
Yeah.
And it'd be good to do it before the end of the month. And Nathan, since you're submitting something next month, if you want someone to take a look at the aims, you just email those to me.
So I've got 2 that I'm working on, right? There's the R21 that we're working on, and we did talk about that, and I'm going to share it with you to look at if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. I thought you and perhaps Lana. And then I told you briefly about the other one we're looking at. It's an X01. It's a really, really strange thing. It is a grant award that awards $0. There's no money involved. It is access to a network where they do the work you want them to do. And so it has kind of this dollar type of equivalent that you can't really calculate. They just say, we'll do whatever we want. But it's for the DPBRN. It's related to mental health and dental health. And so this XO1, what's that?
When is it due?
November as well, or November 2nd, I think.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I sent you the link to the funding opportunity just now. And so just take a look. It is strange. It's not as stringent as a lot of the other awards, just because there's some, like I said, the weirdness of it. But I wanted you to understand that, and we'll send you, when we set up the meeting, I'll bring in the specific games that we've got.
Okay. That works. Okay. Any other questions before you guys take off and start working on your ends?
I've got one more, but I'm not going to bother the group with it. If you can just hang on an extra minute.
Yeah. Okay. And Jamie put her email address in the chat, so make sure you.
I love that idea about financial literacy and protection against violence. That's really cool. Financial literacy and mental health would be interesting to look into as well.
Yeah, it's a cool study. It was kind of a surprise, like a surprising finding of part of a DoD grant, and it turned into a whole thing. So,
yeah, frankly, I'm interested in learning more as well. If you have like a couple of the papers from it or something like that.
sure, happy to send.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.